What do you look for in a partner if you aren't hitched? Or put another way, what should somebody look for in a partner? Supposing you're married, what is it you're looking for in the Mrs., who is now Mrs., your wife? And what were you looking for in the Mr., who is now Mr., your husband? Did you have a list? Did you have a list? You know, I love lists. I have long lists of different things I want to accomplish. Good evening. My name is Eric, and this is Eric Stories. Again, thank you so very much for choosing to hang out with me. You know, I don't take it lightly. You'd be anywhere else doing whichever other thing, but you've chosen to be here. It means a lot. Please acquaint yourself if you're new with my social media handles. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. And while at it, please subscribe. Not just so that you are non-participatory. No. I value your mind about all of these conversations. And I believe very strongly that you hold a perspective that can help even me grow. So share it away. Don't hold it back. What do you think are the have-to-haves when you're choosing a partner? And I wouldn't want to assume that it cuts across the aisle again because people want what they want. But I think very strongly that if you get into the wrong bus, say you want to go to Thika, and then you get into a bus that is going to Voi, it makes your journey more tedious. It's much easier to get into the right bus, and then you just, you can even sleep and rest. But all you have to do is to ask the conductor, is this going to where I'm going? And then you can recline your seat and rest. So in the same fashion, I think who you decide to do the journey of life with is very important. And if we are to use the analogy of a bus, if they're not going where you're going, it becomes even more difficult to do anything with them. So then in selecting a partner, what need you look out for? So I'll share with you things that I think in my mind are have-to-haves. Feel free again to share with me what you think is important. Be you married, divorced, single, waiting, searching? Share. I want to learn from you as well. So character or their substance or essence is very important. I was having a brunch with a friend of mine the other day, and she was telling me, oh my goodness, I cannot even forego the idea of not knowing them very well in terms of their family. I have to go through their family and know them. Like I look at the mom and the dad and check everything and see if those boxes tick. But I think that's very important. So I was telling her, while that is very important, you want to be very careful not to judge somebody based on their parents or who their mom is like. In fact, they normally say, in a few of my readings, they say that if you want to marry a woman, go and see her mother. And if you want to marry this man, you should go and see his father. Why? Because behavior is impartable. And oftentimes people pick after their behavior. Well, that is true in some instances, not entirely, because they are the Obamas of this world who are raised by single mothers with present fathers who are not present in their lives, but who chose other routes. Maybe they are womanizers, and so he grows up and becomes a serious Barry who decides to be a better father, a present husband for both his wife and his children. So it's possible that somebody can have the behavior that was negative or choose against the negative behavior and become positive. But still, it doesn't hurt to check the background. I think it's very important. Yeah, because people sometimes pretend while looking at their character, they can pretend. I've had stories where somebody's pretending until you marry them and you're like, guy, this is you. But I think actions are the reasons words don't have meaning. So in checking their character, it's important to check their conduct and their actions and their conversations. Again, a very nice scripture I like. I hope I remember it. It says, out of the abundance of a man's heart, the mouth speaketh. So what comes out of somebody's mouth, more than likely, is what is always in their hearts. So conversations, conduct, character. First thing in my mind you should check. What do you think? Second thing I think is very important to check is how they deal with money. Money is the greatest revealer of somebody's or who a person is. Money. Excuse me. Hands down, money. I've choked. Hands down, money. Money is the greatest revealer of who a person is. And it's not so much that money is bad or money is good. Money is like the internet, right? So that if we have access to the internet on our phones, one of us can decide and browse porno, like www. Oh my word, those unbelievable, huge tits.com. And another person can go and look at the stock market, or maybe read an article on how to grow their afro. And as is in the similar fashion, so is money. Money, just like the internet, is nebulous. And so if somebody, it accentuates who a person is, one, and then number two, it reveals somebody's character in that it provides for their either malevolence or their good habits. So if they are given to womanizing habits, if you give person A $20, they're going to sleep with the next, they're going to look for the next brothel to have a very good session with the next call girl. And the next person can think to buy himself food and maybe give some money to the children's home. Same $20, put in different hands, does very different things. So how they deal with money is very important. A friend of mine told me a very interesting story. He's an older friend of mine, I respect him greatly. And he was telling me that sometimes if you're keen, if you date somebody and then your money start potting, you have to be very cautious. Because maybe they come with some, I don't know. But I respect that as that view. I don't know, have you experienced that? That you're doing all right, then you hook up with somebody. Actually, two friends have told me that. A very good male friend of mine, I respect him. And he's not given to superstitions, a very learned man. And he was speaking from experience. And another lady friend of mine, also very sophisticated, very smart upstairs, told me the same thing. You know, she was actually telling me that she hooked up with this guy and she had ducks in a row as it pertains to money. But immediately they hooked up, everything just started going topsy-turvy. And she says the moment they broke up, she went back to the radar. So I guess you want to watch for that. I hope it doesn't happen to me, so I have to speak from experience. Kuna watu hupoteza chapa. You know, when you date them, things just go. Yeah? Maybe they have the spirit of poverty. Yeah, so I think how they handle money is very important. And it's not so much how you found them. They have money and they are rolling. No. Day-to-day handling of money. How do they handle money? It's very important. A lot has to be said about that, right? Spirituality. Very important. You know, I hear every time I speak to especially women friends of mine, they're like, oh, you know, someone who knows God is very important. One time this lady called me when I was working in radio. She called me and said she was really head over heels in love with this guy. And then the guy, so when they were talking, we were going out on talking stage, the guy said, when she was inquiring about his faith and spiritual journey, he said he knows about God. But because he was tall and cute with dimples, you know, with a baritone bass, like, hi, baby. You know, Barry White Manenos. And she was getting weak on the knees. So she decided to do life with this guy. And 2 kids later, it just turned out to be a monster in sheep clothing. All right? So I think about spirituality. What do they believe in? You have to go to specificity of what they say they believe in. If you didn't know, I am a practicing believer. So spirituality is very important to me. And so I see people say things like, oh, you know, he knows God. That's not enough. Do they live by biblical standards? If you're Christians, perhaps. Do they live by biblical standards? All right? Who do they worship? It's not enough that they know about God. Do they know God? There's a huge difference. Check for their love of church, their participation in prayer. Are they participatory in prayer, or do they have an intermittent session with prayer? Their biblical standards. You are married to them, they say they are Christians, then guess what? You want to go take your money because you believe in biblical standards about money. You want to take your money for tithe. It's like, hey, you're giving those pastors money. That is demented. Now you have an argument. And you're trying to make sense with them that, oh, you know, I was raised up doing this tithe thing and it's very important. We are protecting our territory. They're like, nope. We are not giving money to a church. We'd rather help poor people on the streets. You see how that is going to be a problem. That is like getting into a bus that said it's going to Mombasa, all right? Then it takes a detour to Busia. And that is a far away drive. And I don't think there's an airstrip in Busia, is there? So I think if you're going to look at spirituality, you need to go to specificity, the really deep details of what spirituality means to you vis-a-vis what it means to them. Very important. What do they practice? What do they believe in? Are you in tandem about the core things? Who is Jesus to them? Who do they pray to? It's not enough that they know about God. That's very important. Very important. You have to even go to specifics about if they are Christians, what kind of Christians are they? Are they Seventh-day Adventists? Are they Mokorinos? Are they Catholics? Are they given to Catholic persuasion so that they'll go to Eucharist and do those Watoto Misa things? Or are they Protestants? And how does that bounce off of you? Is it going to be a challenge? Specificity, all right? Emotional stability, we could go on and on about that. Are they sober? Can they talk to you soberly? Can they express their fears, their frustrations with you? Can they listen? Or are they given to kick things when things are off? That is very important. And then last but not least, study the way they treat their parents. The way they honor and respect them, or the way they don't honor and respect them. You know why? Because despising a parent grows into dishonoring you in later years. It's very important, again, as I keep saying, to know the road ahead. Ask those coming back. Yes. So I think these are important. More than somebody's height, more than how much he makes every month, more than his family that lives in a nice hill and his political connections, or maybe her hips, her lips, and her fingertips, and her ability to twerk and gyrate heavily. I think these go much further and can get you to your desired destination in Mombasa, more than the car breaking down in Watamu, not Watamu, Mtituandei, or worse, Athi River, in the name of a failed union or marriage. Good evening.